You just heard what Ted Malloch was saying. You've got big breaking news. We'll have you for a few minutes, Roger, about what the shakeup in the White House is really about, and that the president is finally on the warpath.
Well, Alex, as you know, we reported exclusively here at InfoWars last year that the president was very unhappy with his National Security Director, General H.R. McMaster's meeting with Susan Rice, and subsequently by McMaster's public comments appearing to absolve Rice.
And you broke that 3 months before. In fact, give us the date. You broke here that at the very place he was, who he was having dinner with, he was drunk, talking tracks about the president. The New York Post was given it, didn't run it. You broke it here 3 months later. It did break, word for word, what you said. So expand on that.
So now we know, we also reported exclusively last year that H.R. McMaster's top aide was a globalist named Fiona Hill, who we traced directly to George Soros and his Open Society Institute. Now we have learned that it was Hill who facilitated the conversation between McMaster and Rice that has gotten McMaster fired. McMaster is on his way out. This has been reported publicly, but we now know the reasons. Trump is furious about McMaster's conversation with Rice, but even madder that McMaster publicly absolved Rice in the unmasking scandal. Again, we here at InfoWars first identified Fiona Hill, the globalist, leftist Soros insider who had infiltrated McMaster's
And that's why
staff.
they're so panicked to get us off YouTube, off Google, off Twitter, openly suing us, Georgetown, Soros back, all of it, because put the article on screen for TV viewers, please. We broke this word for word in May 31st, 2017, bombshell, Soros insider infiltrates Trump administration. Then it was picked up by Newsmax, and then it was hand-delivered to the president at Mar-a-Lago, we can now reveal, back in the summer of last year. I mean, that's why they hate us, Roger. Go ahead.
You're absolutely right, Alex. You see, when McMaster spoke publicly absolving Rice, somehow those stories and clippings never got to the president. Well, when he did see them, he hit the roof. There's one thing Donald Trump despises above all else, and that's disloyalty. And he's clearly doing a house cleaning here. Now, I like Mike Pompeo. I don't understand his ongoing criticism of Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. But that aside, I do think he is more of an anti-interventionist than the McMaster clique.
Well, he's an American firster and is in line with the president. That's what matters.
Well, he was a member of the Freedom Caucus when he was in the House. He was cheering WikiLeaks on during the campaign, largely because of their exposure of the corruption of Hillary Clinton. This is all about to turn. Let me remind you that Chairman Nunes sent a letter to Brennan, Clapper, Rice, and others with a deadline of March 2nd to answer questions about their involvement with the dossier. We don't know what they have responded, but I think we are about to have a volcanic eruption.
How big is it, McCabe? The word is they're getting ready for criminal charges.
McCabe is the centerpiece of the criminal conspiracy to utilize the fake dossier fabricated by a foreign agent in league with a bunch of Russians and utilize it as evidence. McCabe is the chief perp. He is the guy who directed and approved the use of our tax dollars for payments to GPS Fusion.
Yes, is there any evidence that people are building that Mueller has rolled over to the president, and we see some of these new indictments and these new files looking at Democrats? I mean, I don't think Mueller was with the president all along like some think, but I think there's signs that he's starting to hedge his bets because no evidence was found in rolling.
Well, it's possible that Mueller will bring a few relatively low-level indictments against Democrats, but we don't know that Mueller is McCabe's target. We don't know that McCabe has been targeted by Mueller. McCabe may be targeted by the Trump Justice Department and not the special prosecutor. I think that's far more likely.
Well, they're talking about that right now. Wow. Roger Stone, bombshell information. I'm going to come back from break and get Ted Malloch's take on this, but just briefly with you then. What do we expect to happen with Fiona Hill? How long till she's out? How long until McMaster, the reported alcoholic nincompoop, and reportedly he is just a total nincompoop controlled by the neocons, who can't find his ass with both hands. How long until these idiots are out of the White House? We'll be back. Infowars.com, newswars.com, tedmalik.com. Stay with us. All right, we're going to do the balance of the hour with Ted Mallick. I've been inside Davos, been on the board of directors of it, can really flesh out the battle between the globalists and America and where it's going, and Trump throwing globalists overboard now and really making this big turn. But finishing up with Roger Stone with this big breaking news, the president learned that the moles were through a Soros operative inside of the White House through McMaster and has now culling the whole thing out. So just in 2 minutes, Roger, break down why these people are departing, why he's gotten rid of Cohn, why is the Secretary of State, all of it, and get into this Soros operative lady that's the linchpin to it all. And again, you were saying the word is that McMaster is about to be toast.
He's clearly next on the hit list, Alec. First of all, we cannot underestimate the importance of the appointment of Larry Kudlow as the president's chief economic advisor. Many believe Kudlow should have had this appointment from the very beginning, but the globalists working internally were able to block him.
Well, let's be clear. You told me early on when he was president-elect that you were pushing Larry Kudlow.
I was among those definitely pushing Larry. Larry Kudlow was the individual who helped the president formulate what was clearly the most dynamic and pro-growth of any of the Republican candidates' economic plans. In the tax cut, the president is following the advice and game plan laid out by Kudlow. Now, the president has finally thrown the globalist Goldman Sachs insider Gary Cohn, who boasted, by the way, that he could have had the same job under Hillary Clinton had she been elected, to the curb, and has brought in a real Trump supporter, a real Reaganite, someone who is committed to economic growth. This cannot be underestimated in terms of its importance. Now, in the foreign policy realm, if the president cashiers McMaster, who is always an odd fit given the fact that he came from a nonprofit financed by the Rockefeller Foundation, the Ford Foundation, and yes, George Soros, prior to his position in the White House, and replace him with someone who is a non-interventionist, more aligned with Pompeo and the president, this will be a major, major internal coup. The president has the right to reassemble his hand, and he's doing so with some much, much better people.
So, it took months for this to come to a head. How long do you think McMaster and Fiona Hill can stay in? Then who else needs to be thrown overboard?
Well, we know that the president first took note of Fiona Hill because of our reporting here at InfoWars. Now he's put two and two together and figured out, and we've confirmed this morning, that Fiona Hill was the one who engineered his communications with Susan Rice. Susan Rice, the former national security advisor for Barack Obama, and the woman who ran the criminal unmasking operation and is knee deep in the entire dossier fiasco. I believe McMaster's days are literally numbered. The real question will be whether or not he is replaced by somebody better. There is a major report by Jack Posobiec about a longtime John McCain associate who is maneuvering for this job. This is Washington intrigue at its very best.
That's right, but now a direct pipeline to the Obama operatives that did the unmasking, the criminal spying, the lying, all of it, setting up the PP gate, all of it, the Stay Behind Network and the FBI and Justice Department, a direct pipeline to them through McMaster and Fiona Hill, right back to Obama, still trying to control policy from his office 2 miles away. Incredible. We'll get all of tomorrow's news today. Thanks to Roger Stone. Thank you, Roger.